everybody that tunes in to listen to the program. Uh, Again, this will be our final show for the 2019 portion of the 2019-2020 calendar season on the UVU Coaches Show. I can't believe Christmas is already next week. It's less than 10 days away. This year has absolutely just flown by. And then right after that, it's New Year's. So this will be the final show of the 2019 portion of the 2019-2020 year for the UVU Coaches Show. So don't worry, next week, if you try to listen in and there is no Coaches Show, don't worry. It's just we're taking a break, and we're going to try and revamp some things. We do have some fun ideas and fun things in store for the UVU Coaches Show come 2020. So stay tuned for that. Some bigger name guests, as well as some more fun segments. So again, we thank you as always for tuning in and for participating in the show and helping make it a possibility. And a big thank you as always to the UVU Alumni Association and all of our other sponsors for continuing to help this, not just the show, but the program and the school in general. So over the week that was for Utah Valley for the Wolverines, as far as men's basketball is concerned, it was finals week. So Utah Valley only had one game to really worry about, and that was Saturday's contest at home in the UCCU Center with the Northern Arizona University Lumberjacks. And the Lumberjacks came in and they showed their teeth, flexed their muscles, and they muscled their way to a 79-73 victory over the Wolverines on Saturday evening. And it was an interesting game. We'll dive more into the specifics about it a little bit further on, but that's the main storyline so far. Is that Utah Valley they suffered a loss on Saturday to Northern Arizona. Season's not over, so we're not here. It's not our job, and it's not our priority to downgrade or degrade anybody here on the UVU Coaches Show. But we're just going to openly and honestly dissect what we see and try and look at the positives going forward here for the program, especially with the last couple weeks remaining before conference play begins at the start of the year with 2020. And Utah Valley, they're going to start the season, start that conference play really quickly come January. So, as always, we are going to hear from Kyle McDonald, Kyle Sports Bias on Twitter, from Whack Hoops Digest. We're going to hear from him like we do every week. And he's going to help us break down what happened with Utah Valley over the weekend and what happened in the Western Athletic Conference as a whole. Just as an appetizer for you, before we bring in Kyle, just taking a look at the overall standings so far in the Western Athletic Conference. Right now, Utah Valley is in dead last place, tied with Grand Canyon and CSU Bakersfield. I mean, again, if you were to have said this to a group of people and taken a poll, maybe like a Family Feud style, taking a poll and giving people an option as to say, okay, right before conference play begins, who's going to be at the top? I know Utah Valley preseason in the coaches poll for the conference was selected to be number 6 overall. But right now, I don't think there's anybody that could have seen what we are seeing right now in the conference. So if you take a look at it from top to bottom, California Baptist University, they're doing great things out there in Riverside in Southern California, led by Milan Aqua. And I know that was a freshman of the year and standout and absolute phenom for the conference last year. And he is just continuing to take his game to another level. And you know what? It's safe to say that this is here in this realm of the Western Athletic Conference. I don't think this is going to be the only time that we hear that name. I mean, if he continues to grow and continues to expand on his play, this is a guy that we could be seeing at the next level. He's just that good. So Milan Aqua is leading the CBU Lancers right now. So they are first in the conference with a 6-4 record, and Seattle U is right behind him at 6-5. And New Mexico State being plagued by injuries, and they are set to have their key players come back midway through the conference season, if not sooner. And they're right there in third place at 6-6. Kansas City is right behind them at 5-7. UTRGV at 4-6. And Chicago State right above CSU, Bakersfield, Grand Canyon, and Utah Valley with 4-7. So again, taking a look at it, Chicago State being ahead of CSU Bakersfield, Grand Canyon, and Utah Valley, that's an absolute head scratcher. And it's something that I don't think a lot of people, if anybody, really saw coming. So it's just one of those years. There's lots of shifting and moving parts in the Western Athletic Conference. This is the final year for a couple of these teams before they move. Kansas City and CSU Bakersfield as well, and Dixie State coming into the mix, along with Tarleton State for the conference overall within the next couple of years. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the outcome or the outlook, so to speak, of this conference continues to grow. But yeah, and so we'll talk with Kyle McDonald more about this and more about the weekend that was for Western Athletic Conference as far as hoops go. So again, going back to Saturday's matchup against Northern Arizona, the Lumberjacks came into town, and they came in with coming off of a win, splitting their last two games. They were victorious against Omaha, and that game took place on December 8th. They beat Omaha 73-65, and then right before that, just 4 days before that, they lost to UC Davis 85-66. So NAU came into this game first in the Big Sky, and for those of you who might not think the Big Sky is anything, the Big Sky has some tough opponents. And so NAU, the Wolverines knew that this was not going to be an easy matchup for them, and it wasn't going to be a simple pushover. They knew that they had a fight on their hands, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it again. We're going to be honest here. We're not going to try to be, to throw people under the bus or anything like that. That's not our forte. But this was a very winnable game for the Wolverines on Saturday, and frankly, this is one that they should have won. But NAU, you got to tip your hat off to Coach Burkar and his squad for what they were able to do in disrupting the Wolverines as far as their play goes. Kazan Jardine, he scored a game-high 17 points. Isaiah White added 16 to lead Utah Valley on Saturday night. Utah Valley with the loss, again, falls 4-8 overall in the season. And Northern Arizona with the win improved to 5-2. So we have been talking a lot the last few weeks about different players on this Utah Valley squad trying to improve their personal game to overall improve the Wolverine team as a whole. Now we've seen great spurts of athletic play from TJ Washington in games past. We know what Isaiah White can do. And it was fantastic to see him back. So this was the first game back for Isaiah White for the Utah Valley Wolverines in over a month. He injured his ankle. He had a knee brace on as well, just to really make sure that he felt comfortable out there. And that was a presence that Utah Valley has missed over the last few weeks. And frankly, if they had Isaiah White in the mix, Utah Valley probably has a winning record at this time. That's just the only way to really put it. They haven't had him since before the Kentucky game. And so that's a long ways away. And you saw how fantastic Utah Valley played in that Kentucky game. TJ Washington put the team on his shoulders. Everybody rose to the occasion. And we know what this team can do. And we've seen a lot of great play come from each and every one of these Wolverines. Eman Olajupoki earlier this week was ranked in the top 10 in the nation in blocks, and he had 33 blocks coming into this game on Saturday. I believe he finished with 2 blocks, so he finished out the week with 35 blocks, still ranks as one of the best shot blockers in the country. And so each game you're looking for certain individuals who stand out. And within the last couple of games, it's been Trey Woodbury. Trey Woodbury, we knew coming into the season, was a scorer. We knew what he was capable of based off of what we've seen from him down in Las Vegas. And he's stepping up to the occasion in the last, I'd say, the last 2 weeks or so. And so Trey Woodbury, he had 5 points in the first 5 minutes to lead Utah Valley to an early 11-4 start to open up the game. Then Northern Arizona responded by outscoring UVU 13-6 over the next 6 minutes to take a 17-15 lead with about 7:47 to go in the first. Isaiah White then scored 6 straight points in just 41 seconds to give the Utah Valley Wolverines a 21-17 lead with about 7 minutes to go until the break. And at that point, I mean, it was the end of finals week, so there wasn't a lot of people there in the crowd, but the people that were there were excited to see Isaiah White back. And he brought a completely different energy. And we talked with Holton Hunsaker about this when we called the game on Saturday together, and how he is the difference maker, and he is the game changer and the difference factor for this Utah Valley team, because he is a veteran, so to speak, for this team. He's one of just a handful of players returning back from the teams that Coach Pope had, and he's somebody that these new players and transfers are looking up to. And so to have him back was really a great boost for this team, and the crowd knew it, and they knew the type of play that he could bring. And so having him score those 6 points within that quick time frame really energized the crowd, energized the team. But you got to, again, tip your hats off to the Lumberjacks, who they came back after that quick spurt, 21-17 lead with 7 minutes to go by the Wolverines, and the Lumberjacks then outscored Utah Valley 10-5 the rest of the way to take a 27-26 lead into the half. And then right outside, right out of the gates from halftime, the two teams played very evenly. It was a seesaw battle. Again, the game changes was about, like, there were 17 different game changes, and it was tied up about 12 different times throughout the course of the whole game. So very evenly played game between the two, and towards the end, Northern Arizona just pulled away. So if you want to take a look at the box scores here, again, Kazan Jardine scored a game-high 17 points on 5 of 10 shots from the field, including 3 shots from long range. So we felt bad for the guy because he couldn't buy a bucket to start the game early on. And I think, he finished 5 of 10 from the floor, like we just mentioned, 3 of 7 from beyond the arc. But he was 0 for 4 before he hit those his first 3-pointers. And so once he hit those, that was a turning point offensively for Utah Valley as well. Again, Eman Olajiboki also in double figures with 12 points. Olajiboki tallied 6 boards and a pair of blocks, like we mentioned earlier. Isaiah White had 16 points on 4 shots from the field, 7 of 8 from the charity stripe. He got to the charity stripe a lot. He was attacking the rim, getting fouled, and forcing himself to go to that charity stripe to try and get some more offensive momentum and really just, again, try to energize his teammates out there. He pulled down 9 rebounds and dished out a pair of assists as well. So Isaiah White, first game back in over a month, almost has a double-double. Should have had a double-double. I think they gave the rebound to somebody else at one point. But very successful night for him, and it was something positive to build on for Coach Matson going forward. Trey Woodbury recorded his first career double-double with 14 points and a career-high 10 rebounds for Trey Dub. So he scored his 14 points on a 5 of 11 shooting, including one shot from beyond the arc. He also went 2 for 3 at the free throw line. And for Northern Arizona, Chris Bowling led NAU with 16 points, and NAU had about 4 or 5 players in double figures to finish off and cap off the night for the Lumberjacks. Your totals for the Wolverines, you had 4 players in double figures. Again, like we mentioned, Isaiah White, Eman Olajiboki, Trey Woodbury, and Kazan Jardine. Brandon Averett had 8 points, TJ Washington with 2, and Ege Havza with 2, and Brandon Morley with 2. JJ Overton, he had 2 rebounds and no points. So offensively, Utah Valley, they shot 43% from the field and 35% from 3, and they shot 65% from the free throw line. So things to build on, things to work on. Again, Utah Valley now, they face 2 very, very interesting and very difficult tasks this week as far as games go. Utah Valley Wolverines, who already have logged over 9,000 miles as far as travel goes on the season, will continue to do so. Continue to tack on the frequent flyer miles as they travel to Wyoming. So again, another mountain. This is a Mountain West school here. And so they're going to play Wyoming on Wednesday, and then they travel down to my home of sunny Southern California and take on Long Beach State in the Pyramid. And that's both games are going to be very difficult. And so Utah Valley, now that they have Isaiah White back, I'm very curious to see how they respond to what happened on Saturday and to see what kind of performance we get out of the Wolverines come Wednesday and Saturday. Once Saturday's game at Long Beach State is finished, then the Wolverines will take another week-long break before capping off the 2019 portion of the 2019-2020 calendar season at home against Antelope Valley Saturday, December 28th, and that's going to be a matinee special for you, about 3 o'clock. So you can hear both of those games this week on the radio here on ESPN 960. Jim McCullough, as always, will be on the call. So we're just getting started here on the Utah Valley Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. We're going to hear from Kyle McDonald, Holton Hunsaker a little bit later as well. And Kyle McDonald was able to sit down with Coach Madsen, and he had a fantastic podcast with him earlier this week. And we're going to take bits and pieces of what Coach Madsen said from that podcast and play that for you as well. And Kyle was able to sit down and really talk with Coach Madsen at the just about halfway point of the season to kind of gauge where he's at so far on the year. So this is the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. We will be right back after this right here on ESPN 960.
UVU Alumni has gone digital. Download the new UVU Alumni app. It allows you to carry a digital version of your alumni membership card with you at all times. Get discounts at local and national retailers. See what perks your UVU Alumni membership has to offer and stay current with upcoming alumni events. You can even find former classmates using the app. Download it today.
Hi, this is Tim at Sierra West Jewelers. Sierra West is having its annual sale, 40% off most items in the store, and we have up to 5 years on credit, OAC. Big names, 42 years, only at Sierra West Jewelers.
Welcome back to the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. Brandon Crow with you here, as always, every Monday afternoon on ESPN 960. Thank you again for taking the time to be with us and letting us be a part of your day here on the UVU Coaches Show. The only game for the Wolverines this past week was on Saturday night, Utah Valley falling to Northern Arizona. Final score 79-73. Now, usually we have Kyle McDonald on this show each week, and he breaks down the things or the week that was for Utah Valley, as well as the Western Athletic Conference. And we know that this time of year can be very hectic, very crazy for lots of people. The holidays bringing in lots of families with travel, we understand. And so we were not able to get a hold of Holton Hunsaker or Kyle McDonald for fresh takes, but Kyle McDonald did lend us. He was very gracious, and he was able to sit down with Coach Mark Madsen earlier this week at practice, and we were able to have that interview that he gave to us. So this interview that you're about ready to hear is coming courtesy of Kyle McDonald from Whack Hoops Digest, and this was his sit-down interview with Coach Madsen after practice earlier this week.
So, through the first month and a half of your first year of head coaching, what are your thoughts so far?
Well, I mean, my thoughts are this group of players is resilient, they're fighters, and they care about winning. And I think it shows in how we've played. We've had a chance to win every single game, probably with the exception of one, being Colorado State. And that's with the depleted roster. That's with injuries and guys not being able to play for different reasons. And so really the guys have embraced the challenge, and these players have been about as good as you could ask.
When in the NBA, if a guy gets injured, usually you call somebody up from the G League to fill in and stuff like that. How's the difference in college basketball where you don't get that luxury? You still have to play with a short bench. You can't just call somebody up and say, hey, come play for us this game or that game. How has that, been a little bit of a learning curve for you?
Well, yeah, exactly. In the G League, you have a roster of 12 guys that are ready to come up at any time. In college, we have our roster, but then we have the student body. And so I've been out there on campus making phone calls, looking for a few more walk-ons, a few more individuals that want to put team first. And, we're working that angle right now, just in terms of the number of bodies. At Southern Utah, I looked down my bench. We had 3 guys with 4 fouls in the last 2 minutes.
Right.
If there would have been one more foul call, we would have had to have played the game with 4 players on the court. But it's been like that throughout the year in different games. And so we have lost some close games. But the fact that we've been in basically every game with being undermanned, with all the adversity we've had, is a testament to these players, to their work ethic, and to how much they care.
You mentioned, like you said, right before practice ended, you got 4 non-conference games left. I believe in all 4 of them, you guys are favored to win, according to Ken Palm. And not that plays a lot into it, but how important is it to break the losing streak you're on right now, to go into conference on a high note, winning 3 or 4 games here, before January 2nd?
Well, I think the word opportunity comes to mind. This is going to be a tremendous opportunity to go out there, to execute, have some individual performances from some guys, and to hopefully put together a string of wins.
Kasdan's his shooting starting to come on a little bit more. How nice has it been to see his shooting percentage skyrocket and him play better?
Well, I mean, look, I told Kasdan early in the year, right after our first or second exhibition game, I said, Kasdan, look, whatever you do, keep on shooting, because you're going to have games this year where you go 5 for 6, 7 for 9 from 3. He's that type of shooter, and we've seen that. And he's done it on the biggest stages also, which is, you can attribute that to the fact that I think the bigger the game, the more the pressure, the better Kasdan performs.
I hate to bring it up. I know coaches don't like to talk about it, but over these 4 games where it's there's been close games. There was a Colorado State anomaly from a bad first half. But how do you keep these guys close and keep these guys working hard, and with some of those frustrating losses, especially like the way the Southern Utah game ended on Saturday?
Well, basketball is a game of great successes, high mountain peaks, and it's a game of, at times, I don't like to use the word failure, but I like to use the word feedback. So in a couple of those losses, we received some feedback in terms of the way we've played, where little things that we can tweak, things we can adjust that are going to help us in the long run.
What is the biggest strength of your team? I know I've thought it's been the getting out in fast break, getting out in transition. From your perspective as the head coach, where you work with these guys day in and day out, you're right there on the sidelines coaching them. What have you seen as the biggest strength of your team that is something you're going to rely on going forward for the rest of the season?
I think our versatility is a huge strength. I think we have a lot of guys who can shoot the 3, dribble around guys in traffic, and finish at the rim. I mean, we have 5 or 6 guys that can do that. And to have that, so many different weapons that can attack on a given night, I think it's huge for us. It's huge.
The travel, there's still 2 road games at Wyoming, at Long Beach State in these next 4 games. Do you feel like that's going to be a strength, or do you feel like there's a sense that maybe the legs are a little bit tired right now? Because you guys have traveled over, I think prior to the Colorado State game, it was 9,500 miles
right.
Just through the air. That's not even counting the buses. Just kind of your thoughts on that.
Well, we don't think about that as much. We don't talk about it as a staff, because really I don't like to think that stuff affects us. I mean, you think about probably 50 years ago, a lot of these teams were doing this by bus.
Right.
And so to have the opportunity to fly, I mean, that's a huge benefit. So we don't think about that very much. I will say this, we're in finals week right now. We just had a fantastic practice. I mean, the guys went very hard. we got a lot accomplished, and we were very efficient, and it was a lot of quality reps today.
Who's kind of stood out? I mean, you're one of those coaches that doesn't like to single anybody out, but who's kind of stood out to you in these first 15, 16 games as kind of a leader, or do you feel like it's a team of leaders?
I think we have a whole team of leaders. When I think about the Southern Utah game, Brandon Averett played 40 minutes, and not once did he look tired. Not once did he look tired. And I think that speaks to his preparation. That speaks to how seriously he takes his commitment to this game and this team. To play 40 minutes at a high level against Division I athletes it's not easy. But he didn't miss a beat, and he knocked down 2 critical free throws late in the game to put us up 1 point.
Through these next 4 games, what are you hoping to accomplish, to see besides a W, obviously?
Yeah.
Well, what are some things that you'd like to get flowing the right way as you get ready for that January 2nd conference opener?
We've identified certain things internally as a team, 3 or 4 areas that we need to get better. The good news is all these areas, they're correctable. And so as we correct those, I think the performance of our team is going to really have a nice upward trend.
Do you feel like like you said, you've been in most of the games outside the Colorado State game? You're at Kentucky, you lose by single digits there, and you had them on the ropes.
Yeah, we did.
If Trey Woodbury hits that corner 3,
Yep.
about a minute and a half left, I think you guys win. That was great to cheer on you guys, by the way. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
But what do you take away from the ups and downs where you might be in a game like that, and you win a couple big road games at UAB, North Dakota State, but you have a setback to Lamar at home, Weber State at home? What do you take away from those kind of things?
Well, I think the thing I take away is just that the margin of error between win and a loss is razor thin. And watching the Lamar game and watching the Weber State game, there's probably, as a coach, you look at every play so intently, and you make a list of the things you can do better. And at the end of the game, there might be 10 or 15 things where if there were mistakes, there might be 60 things you did perfectly. So then you look at the 10 or 15 things you did wrong, and you think, if we could have corrected these 5 or 6, well, then we win the game by 5 points.
Right.
And so really it's identifying the areas of improvement, and it's just going about your craft with a workmanlike mentality. A stonemason goes to work every day, and he does a little bit every day. And by the end of a month, he's got a beautiful stone wall that provides protection. It aesthetically looks great, and it's a masterpiece. But it's a day-by-day endeavor. And so I know that our day-by-day endeavor, when we work on the little building blocks, these little stones every day, we'll look up in 3 weeks, a month and a half, 2 months, and we're going to have something really special here.
How has it been for you as a coach? Have you enjoyed it? Is it stressful, frustrating? Or are they all emotions that are racked into being a head coach?
Being a head coach reminds me of how I felt when I was a player. Because as a player, you go out there, you want to have success that will help the team win. And as a coach, really, we want to have success to help our team win. And so I actually feel a similar emotion to when I played. There's accountability, there's pressure, there's high stakes, but I wouldn't have it any other way. That's the beauty of competition. You have all these opportunities, and you have these expectations which you have for yourself and which the players have for the team.
Again, thank you to Kyle McDonald from whackhoopsdigest.com. And you can follow Kyle on social media. Follow him on Twitter at Kyle Sports Bias, as well as at whackhoopsdigest. So it's a lot of interesting things that Coach Madsen said in that segment, and we're going to dissect those and project those going forward in our next segment. And then we'll wrap up the show by giving you a little preview, an overview of Wyoming and the 49ers of Long Beach State for our Utah Valley Wolverines. Again, Utah Valley has a game on Wednesday night in Laramie, taking on Wyoming, and then travel down to Southern California on Saturday to take on the Long Beach State 49ers. You are listening to the UVU Coaches Show, presented by the UVU Alumni Association, here on ESPN 960.
At Ken Garff Volkswagen in Orem, we believe in supporting our neighbors and the hardworking UVU basketball team. Since our store is perfectly located on University Parkway in Orem, we're ready to play ball with our UVU Wolverines and give them and you a car buying experience unlike any other. Be sure to stop by our store for all your automotive needs, because at Ken Garff Volkswagen in Orem, we hear you.
Your number one UVU basketball fans, Neil Dastrup Insurance and Auto Owners Insurance is a winning combination. You know texting while driving is dangerous, yet most people admit to doing it anyway. Drivers are 23 times more likely to be involved in a car accident while texting. Know the facts and wait to text. The danger is real and it applies to you. Auto Owners Insurance, the no problem people. Neil Dastrup Insurance is a proud partner of the UVU men's basketball team.
Welcome back to the UVU Coaches Show. This is Brandon Crow with you here on ESPN 960. UVU Coaches Show is brought to you by the UVU Alumni Association. Good stuff from Kyle McDonald last segment, speaking with head coach Mark Madsen earlier this week before the Northern Arizona game at the Nuvi Basketball Center. So Coach Madsen, very gracious with his time, and such a humble guy. I mean, it's crazy. I am born and raised in Southern California, born and raised a Laker fan, Dodger fan, UCLA family. And growing up, being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I idolized the Lakers. And when Mark Madsen was playing basketball at Stanford, I watched him play because obviously I was a big UCLA Bruins fan, and my family's had basketball season tickets for over 30 years, and so we were able to watch Mark Madsen come in to Pauley Pavilion. I saw him play, and of course, watching him on the local Fox Sports networks growing up, I thought he was a great player and somebody for me to kind of look up to, and then lo and behold, he gets drafted by my hometown Lakers and helps them win back-to-back championships, and it was kind of fun for me growing up playing basketball and everything with kids, junior high, high school. They would lovingly, jokingly, but in a loving manner, call me Mad Dog, and they call me Madsen whenever we would play, whether it was basketball, football, or baseball. And so there was not very much Mark Madsen memorabilia back in the day, especially when you went down to a Laker game. But I was able to find when I was younger, I was able to find some sort of picture on the internet of Mark Madsen dunking in a Laker uniform, and I thought, what the heck? You know what? I might send him a little note just to let him know that there's one fan out there that's definitely paying attention, and he's grateful for what he's doing out there. And so I did. And so I went out, found the picture, printed it out. It's very pixelated copy, is early 2000s. And so it's not like the technology that we had right now. And I wrote a little letter saying how grateful I was to have him on the Lakers. Thank you for helping bring the championships in. And just kind of telling him my story. And I sent it off to him. Didn't really think anything much of it. I've had a couple friends who have sent stuff to some celebrities, and they've received some things back. But I don't know. I just really didn't think that there was going to be anything that came of it. And a couple months go by, and next thing you know, I forget about it. Forget I even sent the letter. And then I get this letter back with an envelope from the Lakers, and I was like, "What the heck is this? Is this is my dad playing like a trick on me or something?" And so I open it up, and sure enough, it's that letter. And in the letter was that same pixelated picture that I printed off, and it was of Coach Madsen, and he put his own autograph on there, and he signed it, and he said, "Thanks for your support. I hope everything is going well, Mark Madsen." And I was stoked. I mean, as a little kid, I had a cork board, and I had that pinned on my cork board, and I couldn't have been happier. And continue to root on Mark Madsen throughout his remainder of a career in Los Angeles, and then going on to Minnesota, and then coming back as a Laker assistant coach as well. And so it's pretty crazy to see how the times have changed and how the tables have turned. I did not think in my life that I would ever come up to Utah. Different life plans and paths took me up here to Utah, and something that I'm grateful for, most definitely, but not the plan that I ever had in mind. And here I am working at Utah Valley and trying to pursue my career as a broadcaster. And Mark Madsen comes to Utah Valley to be a head coach. And here I am being able to work with Coach Madsen and being able to be with him and share that same stage, I guess, with the guy that I wrote that letter to. And so it's pretty humbling experience, pretty cool experience. And my parents, since I've long moved out from home, my parents they've taken all my stuff from my room. They took it all down, and they put it in storage. And so they are going to try and find that picture, and they're going to try and send it up here to me so that I can be able to take a picture with Coach Madsen. And it's just a testament to pursuing your dreams. So long story short, if there's anybody out there that is pursuing their dreams, if they think that what they are doing is something that they love, but they're not sure about chasing it or pursuing it, whatever it is, here's my advice to you. Go for it. Go ahead and chase your passions, chase your dreams, and work hard. Be nice to people, work hard, and you'll find that the harder you work, the more doors will open to you. And they might not be the doors that you had ever thought would open to you, but I can let you know from my personal experience that's the case. And in speaking with Coach Madsen, I know that this is a place that he never thought that he would end up either, here in Utah at Utah Valley. And I know that he is definitely grateful for the opportunity to be here, and he's excited for what this opportunity at Utah Valley brings. And we knew that this was going to be a bumpy road for him coming into the season, and we knew that he was going to have some challenges along the way, trying to fill the shoes that Coach Pope has left for him in the tenure that Coach Pope has been here, and the progress that this university has made, not just in the basketball field, but overall, with a new president and President Astrid Tumines and all the fantastic accomplishments that she has been able to have in her short time here at Utah Valley. And Utah Valley is a very cool place to be at this time. One of the biggest university in the state, and a lot of progress being made top to bottom in the athletic field. And so Coach Madsen jumped at the opportunity to be here. Both he and Coach Dan Nielsen of the women's basketball side, they're trying to build something here. And they want to have kids, and they want to have recruits coming to this school who want to be a part of something special like this. And they want to be a part of building up a program and making history, so to speak. They're both coaches are trying to do the best that they can in trying to build this program and continue to build on the things that have come before it. So Coach Nielsen, I know he said, I think the biggest thing we want people to know about UVU basketball is come and be a part of it. If you're a recruit, this is the place where you can do big things and where you can make history. And this is going to be a program where Coach Madsen says he holds himself accountable, where I hold my players accountable to our mission, to our goals, to succeed in the classroom and on the court and in the community. And that's something that we've been able to see early on so far is through those struggles that both the men's and the women's team might be going through at this time. Both coaches, if you watch the men's team, Coach Madsen, not stoic, but he holds his emotions close to his vest, and he's kind of he's kind of a hard card to read at times. But know that he truly deeply cares about these individuals and about these kids. And I was able to catch a glance one day. I wasn't sure as to whose father this was, but after the games here at Utah Valley, after every home game, the players will walk around after the game is over. They'll walk around and give high fives to the crowd and thank them for coming out. And in this particular game, it was early on in the season, but there was a parent who had made their way from the top of the rafters down to the bottom where Coach Madsen was, and he got Coach's attention, and he said that he was somebody's parent. And then Coach went up into the stands, gave him a big old hug, was very enthusiastic, and just continued to praise his son and say how much that they loved him. And you could really see what that meant to that father and to that individual. And knowing that you have and you're placing your kids and their moldable futures in the hands of these coaches is one of the biggest responsibilities and a very humbling thing if you speak to both of these coaches. But with Mark Madsen right now, with this Utah Valley basketball team, they're trying to build something special from what has already been put there before them. And we know that this is, again, going to be a very difficult challenge for them. But having so many injuries so far in the season and hearing in the interview from Kyle McDonald with Coach Madsen where they were down at Southern Utah and he was looking down at the bench and he saw that, one foul could put them with 4 players. With 90 seconds left in a hotly contested game, one foul could put them on the court with 4 players. And he's at the point now where he's trying to hold open tryouts to try and find some walk-ons, to try and find some talent. But he knows that with the heart and the character of these guys on this team, that's why they're in these games. And that's why that they don't give up. And they're not going to give up just because they lost at home to Northern Arizona and they're on a 4-game losing streak before heading out onto the road this week with 2 very difficult teams in Wyoming and in Long Beach State. And, again, we're not the type of show, and I'm not the type of person to look at the negatives and to heap on those negativities. But trying to be realistic, not naive, but just be realistic here. Taking a look going forward, Utah Valley, it's better that they get these bumps and these bruises out of the way early. Yes, they've had some games that they have lost that they should have won. Yeah, that's the truth. But if you take a look at it, they have fantastic wins down south in Alabama against UAB, and then against North Dakota State. Excuse me. And both of those games were very difficult games, and they were able to pull out victories. And those are the victories, and those are the moments that these players are going to rely upon come crunch time. And come the beginning of the year, it's going to be a whole new ball game. And I know that we mentioned before, right now, if you look at the WAC standings, Utah Valley is tied for last place with Grand Canyon and CSU Bakersfield. Again, just a head scratcher there for you. Something that nobody thought would happen and nobody saw coming, most definitely. But California Baptist sits at the top at 6-4. Seattle U at 6-5, right behind them. New Mexico State 6-6. Kansas City at 5-7. UTRGV 4-6. Chicago State 4-7. CSU Bakersfield, Grand Canyon, Utah Valley at 4-8 at the very bottom. So come conference time, this is going to be a very interesting test for this Wolverine squad. And I don't think that it's the time for Wolverine fans to panic. And I don't think that the panic button is something where you can go right now. So coming off of the non-conference schedule to start off the season in conference play in January, starting Thursday, January 2nd, to be exact, Utah Valley will be at Chicago State. Then they will be at Kansas City. and then at Seattle U before coming home versus New Mexico State. So their first 3 games of conference play are on the road before coming home to face the Aggies of New Mexico State. And then they're going to have another home game with UTRGV, and then CSU Bakersfield on the road, Grand Canyon on the road to finish off January, hosting California Baptist University, and so on. So Utah Valley has some time to heal the wounds that they have right now and to get people healthy and to get people experienced and ready to play come conference time. So right now, Utah Valley, they're going in the right direction. And again, Coach Madsen having to really manipulate and gather everybody based off of the crazy offseason that everybody had with leaving to go to BYU and Coach Pope and him taking 2 of the assistants with him and a handful of players as well. Coach Madsen's trying to do the best that he can, and frankly, I feel like he's doing a fantastic job. And we've heard time and time again from Athletic Director Jared Sumption, Dr. Jared Sumption, that he has full faith in Coach Madsen. Otherwise, they would have made the hire. And we know that Coach Madsen has been in very difficult, tough situations in his professional career, and he's been able to come out on top. So he knows what to do. He's learned from some of the best in the world, some of the greatest basketball minds and in the history of the game, both players and coaches. And I feel like that he is going to turn this program around for the remainder of the season, and especially going forward. Once he gets his puzzle pieces into place and they start to really formulate the system that he's trying to run, it's going to be a very smooth sailing ship, and it'll be a fun thing to watch going forward. So again, Utah Valley trying to find a couple victories here to snap this losing streak towards the end of the season. Again, traveling to Laramie, Wyoming on Wednesday. You can hear Jimmy Mack, the legendary Jimmy McCullough, with that call for you here on ESPN 960. And then they will travel back down to my sunny home of Southern California to take on the 49ers of Long Beach State in the Pyramid. You can hear both of those games right here on ESPN 960 later on this week. So, again, we are grateful for Kyle McDonald for letting us listen to that interview and having that audio. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back to wrap up the show, taking a look at the Wyoming Cowboys and the 49ers of Long Beach State for Utah Valley going forward the rest of the week. This is the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association right here on ESPN 960.
Wolverine Crossing is Utah Valley's premier student housing. We provide the largest amenities in Utah, including 2 resort-style pools, 2 hot tubs, a 2-story gym, sand volleyball, basketball court, and so much more. Pick from our newly renovated 1, 2, 3, and 4-bedroom layouts. We know we have the perfect fit for you. Spots are filling fast. Come in today for a tour and find out why Wolverine Crossing is home for you.
Why does your business need Vivid Print today?
For banners, yard signs, NCR forms, business cards, promotional items.
Why will you need Vivid Print tomorrow?
For booklets, business card magnets, custom printed fabric items, trade show pop-ups.
And why Vivid Print in the future?
For letterhead, newsletters, flyers, stickers, window claims.
Vivid Print, promotional signs and graphics.
Hi, this is Jamie Barris with Vivid. If you can dream it, we can design and print it.
Go online to get-vivid.com and get ready for great service. And Vivid, print promotional signs and graphics.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. Crazy weekend, really. If you're a fan of the NFL, taking a look at some of the games that went down yesterday, and to really see what's going on in the NFL and to see where the NFL is and some of these teams where they are at the conclusion of this decade, is what people are saying. With 2019 coming to a close here in the next couple of weeks, heading into 2020. We got the Buffalo Bills with its first 10-win season of the 21st century. and they're in playoff contention, and everybody was jumping on the Browns bandwagon. I was not one of those people, but the Browns having a meltdown. The Raiders, I mean, come on. The Raiders pulling an absolute Raider-esque performance in their final home game in the Coliseum in Oakland. Those faithful fans who have been there through all those dismal years and seen the ups and downs of that program, and to see the poor Raiders, man, on their final game in that Coliseum, to be up the whole game and to just lose it and choke it in the final minute was quintessential Raiderism of the last 5 to 6 years. And so just lots of crazy things going on. San Francisco again just was not able to pull it through in the final minutes. I know Clint Berge from Utah Valley University in their athletic department, big 49er fan. They're still in good shape, Clint. And so, they're in playoff contention. Still got a couple weeks to fine-tune some things here. But lots of crazy things to see. Eli Manning, maybe his final performance as a Giant at home, and getting the starts, looking good. And then how about some of the meltdowns here? I mean, Phillip Rivers has been a constant over the last decade, and he's had some fantastic performances for the Chargers. But man, 8 turnovers. It's just in this game alone, and it's almost painful to watch. And he's just definitely not the player that we have seen from him in the past. So changing of the guards, lots of different storylines, but crazy weekend in the NFL to say the least. And very interested to see what happens going forward here and to see what happens in the playoffs, to take a playoff picture. But hey, you know what? This is the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association, and we're fans of all sports, and so we like to give other sports and other hot topics some discussion when the time is right. So I know we talked about the Western Athletic Conference so far in this show. Kyle McDonald broke down some things with Coach Madsen, and some more things from Kyle McDonald. But it was not a good day on Saturday for the WAC Hoops programs. Utah Valley lost, CSUB Bakersfield lost, Kansas City lost, New Mexico State lost, and CBU, again, California Baptist, blew out Bethune-Cookman and was able to find some sort of bright spot for the conference over the weekend. So, really rough team. The teams combined to go 1 up for 5 over the weekend. And the WAC, the Western Athletic Conference, is now ranked 23rd overall in the KenPom rankings for the conferences. So Utah Valley is going to try to improve this conference with their play this week, and they face 2 difficult teams. One in the Wyoming Cowboys, and that's a very difficult place to play, a Mountain West foe. And then they play the Cowboys on Wednesday in Laramie. Then the Wolverines will travel down to Southern California to Long Beach, Snoop Dogg's territory in the 2-1-3, and take on the 49ers in the Pyramid, the 49ers from the Big West. So taking a look at the Cowboys, their schedule here, they played some interesting teams and have gotten some very interesting results as well. So they started off the season with Idaho State. They defeated Idaho State 54-40, and then they traveled to South Carolina to take on the Gamecocks in Columbia, and that was a big loss there. They lost 66-32, and then they came back home to host another Big West school in California State University, Cal Fullerton, and they lost to the Titans by 7 points. Final score there, 53-60. And then after that, after taking on the Titans, taking on Oregon State. At home, they lost to the Beavers by 20 points, 63-83. And then again, hosting Detroit Mercy, getting a victory there, 76-49. And then going on the road down to Las Vegas as part of the MGM main event. They lost to the University of Colorado, 41-56, and they also lost to TCU, 47-64, and then they lost to Air Force at home, 77-86, as well as losing to University of New Mexico, 65-79. They lost to Northern Colorado just a couple days ago, 53-74. So Utah Valley will go into Laramie and try and take on this Cowboy team that has lost the last 5 straight games. Now, Utah Valley has also done the same. Utah Valley has lost at Mount St. Mary's. They lost at Colorado State. They lost to Weber State and to Southern Utah, and then they lost to Northern Arizona. So something's got to break. Something's got to give on Wednesday. And so, again, this is going to be one of those games where if you look at it from the outside, you look at it on paper, that this is a quote-unquote very winnable game for the Wolverines. Now, having the luxury of having all of last week off to prepare for the game at Northern Arizona, there are finals going on, and so now that finals are done, and now for the rest of the year of 2019, the last couple weeks, there are 3 games remaining, and Utah Valley has no schoolwork to worry about. So the players, they just got to focus strictly on these games. And I feel like we're going to see some different results here. And I feel like the coaching staff with Coach Okeson, with Coach Phillips, Johnson, and company, with Coach Madsen, they're going to have everything dialed in, and they're going to find exactly what this team needs. And I think that we're going to see some positivity and some good results over the next couple games for this Utah Valley program. And especially one for me that stands out is a healthy Isaiah White. Now, I know we discussed this earlier on in the show, but for those who have been late to the program and were not able to hear that, Isaiah White saw his first minutes of action on Saturday against Northern Arizona in over a month. And Utah Valley has not had Isaiah White since around the Kentucky game. And so that's been a long time. And we saw how well Utah Valley performed in Lexington, and a lot of other players on the team like T.J. Washington, Trey Woodbury, J.J. Overton stepping up and making their presence known in his absence. But Isaiah White coming through with double digits in his scoring. It was 1 rebound shy of a double-double on the game and had a great impact. And we know what type of leader he can be. And so having him back fully healthy for these 2 games, especially with the final tune-up before conference play starts at the beginning of the year, I think will make a big difference. And hopefully Utah Valley can come through and break this 5-game skid that they're on right now. So a lot of good things to take a look at here is with this university, with the Wolverines going to Laramie here. So after Utah Valley will play the Cowboys in Wyoming. Like we said, they'll travel down to Southern California to take on the 49ers of Long Beach State. Now, the Long Beach State 49ers right now currently sit at 3-8, and they are on a 4-game losing streak as well. They have lost 5 games on the road, 2 games in neutral territory, and they are 2-1 at home. So, Long Beach State, taking a look at who they have played, they opened up the season at UCLA, and they lost by 4, 69-65, in a very close game. And then they hosted the Toreros of San Diego. They defeated the Toreros 74-62. They lost at Stanford 58-86 before traveling up north to Moraga to take on St. Mary's. They lost 81-63, and then coming home and defeating Fresno Pacific 93-62. Then got taken out by Arizona 104-67 in the desert in Tucson, and then coming back as part of the Wooden Legacy for Thanksgiving weekend, they defeated Providence 66-65, and then they lost to Wake Forest 75-88, and lost to Penn as well 79-95, and then they lost to Pacific 65-46. And then just barely over the weekend, dropping a contest to the Trojans of USC, 87-76. And before Utah Valley will come into town on Saturday, the Long Beach State 49ers will host Southern Utah, the Thunderbirds, who Utah Valley lost to down in Cedar City just a couple weeks back in a game that was just back and forth, very crazy. Utah Valley barely lost that game. Final score there was 72-73. So, again, if you take a look at both of these teams, very quote-unquote winnable games for the Wolverines. Now, going forward, I do believe that Utah Valley needs to win these games, and they need to win the next 3 games to stop this losing streak and to build up that confidence heading into conference play. So if you look at it on paper, going out to Laramie, very difficult task, I know, but this is a team that has a lot of talent, the Wolverines, and we've seen what they can do, and now that they have their puzzle pieces healthy, I think that we're starting to see different lineups out there on the court from the coaches. They're trying to see what works and what personnel is going to be with who. Now, I do believe that we need some more production from certain players. I know we've seen how great TJ Washington has been coming into the Northern Arizona game, averaging 16 points a game, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and he finished that Northern Arizona game on Saturday with only just 2 points and 5 assists. And the turnovers are what the Wolverines need to tighten the screws on. On Saturday, Utah Valley had 19 turnovers in total, and that's just something that they have to get better at. That they have to have more ball control, and they have to have better communication when it comes to passing and being able to find the open man. And when Utah Valley takes its time and finds the open man to get the best shot possible, that's when they're the most successful. And right after that, they're most successful when they're just going and they're playing as fast-paced as they can be. And when they're playing instinctive basketball, when they're not taking too much time to think about things, that's when we've seen the best results from this program. And so it'll be very interesting to see how players like Ege Havza, Jamison Overton, Brandon Morley, and TJ Washington and Brandon Averett contribute in the next couple of days. Those are the players, specifically the guards in Averett and Washington, for me to keep an eye out on. Now, an X factor outside of Isaiah White for me is J.J. Overton. J.J. Overton on Saturday didn't have any points. He was only 0 for 1 from the floor, played just shy of 12 minutes, had 1 assist, but we know what J.J. Overton can do, and we've seen how explosive he can be. And I think that finding the correct matchup and the proper matchup for a player like J.J. Overton and getting him shots early and making him feel confident early on will be the best for him. And I think that he's going to have a very good game on Wednesday. So I'm very curious to see how this team responds. Fully healthy, fully stocked, and ready to go. So again, Utah Valley will travel on the road on Wednesday to take on the Cowboys in Laramie, and you can hear the legendary Jimmy McCullough, Jimmy Mack, here on ESPN 960, and he'll have that game for you. I think the tip-off is scheduled for that match on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, and then Long Beach State on Saturday, and that one will be 5 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. You can listen to both of those here on ESPN 960. So this has been the UVU Coaches Show. We'll go ahead and wrap up the show for all of our hardworking staff and crew behind the scenes, for Jason Erickson, for Clint Berge, the SIDs in the athletic department, for Dr. Jared Sumption, the athletic director. Thank you for letting us be a part of your day, for Nate Mathis and his fantastic crew. For our producers in the studio, David Glauser and his staff and his crew, thank you for letting us be a part of your day, however and wherever you're joining us. For Ben Schroeder as well at Utah Valley University, I'm Brandon Crow saying so long and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We will see you in 2020 here on the UVU Coaches Show. Again, thank you. Be safe out there, and we'll talk to you next year.